How the Tower of Babel resembles modern-day AI. Good day, beloved viewers. Today, we're going to take a journey back in time, thousands of years, to an ancient biblical narrative that holds surprising and profound insights into our modern technological age, specifically the rise of artificial intelligence or large language models. We'll explore how the story of the Tower of Babel and even the prophetic lament in Isaiah can serve as powerful metaphors for humanity's current trajectory with AI and where true responsibility for its future lies. The Tower of Babel, humanity's first AI project. Let's begin with the familiar story from Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 to 9. Now the whole earth had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there, the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. At its core, this is a story about unity, ambition, and consequence. The people, unified by one language and a common speech, embarked on a colossal engineering project. A city and a tower reaching to the heavens. The Hebrew word for heavens here is, and its Greek equivalent in the Septuagint is Omicron Rho Alpha Nu G Sigma. Both terms refer to the sky, the celestial sphere, and, by extension, the spiritual or divine realm. The tower wasn't just about height. It was a symbolic ascent, an attempt to make a name for ourselves, to achieve self-sufficiency and glory that rivaled the divine. What is truly fascinating is God's observation in verse 6. If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. This highlights language as the ultimate enabler of collective human capability. A unified language allows for seamless collaboration, shared knowledge, and a singular, powerful will, making seemingly impossible feats attainable. The echo of hubris. Isaiah 14 and the fall. This theme of ambitious ascent leading to a fall is not unique to Babel. We see a powerful parallel in Isaiah 14 verses 12 to 15. Often interpreted as a lament against the king of Babylon, a city whose name and spirit trace back to Babel, both rooted in the same Hebrew word and archetype of prideful ascent, but also widely understood as an allegory for the fall of Lucifer. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, "I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." But you are brought down to the realm of the dead, to the depths of the pit. Here, the tower is not physical, but a spiritual ascent, an attempt to make myself like the Most High. Both Babel and this passage from Isaiah articulate a universal principle: hubris, or excessive pride and ambition. When it seeks to usurp divine authority or transcend proper limits, inevitably leads to a humbling fall. For the builders of Babel, it was the confusion of language and scattering. For the morning star, it was a casting down from heaven. They are distinct narratives, but they share the same archetypal warning. Modern Babel. Large language models now. Let's bring this ancient wisdom into our present. Consider large language models like the ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, and Llama. What are they at their core? An LLM is a complex technological marvel trained on vast, diverse datasets of human language from across the globe. Through this process, it effectively unifies the processing of all these languages into one. It discerns patterns, relationships, and meanings that bridge the linguistic divides that scattered humanity at Babel. In a very real sense, LLMs represent a technological recreation of that one language and a common speech. They enable unprecedented levels of communication, information synthesis, and collective problem-solving across linguistic barriers. They can assist in scientific discovery, creative endeavors, and complex analysis at a scale previously unimaginable. This brings us back to God's observation. Nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them, with LLMs as powerful tools. Humanity is once again poised to achieve feats that were once considered impossible. The potential for good for education, medicine, creativity, and global understanding is immense. It's the true Nimrod. Human agency, however, the Tower of Babel story offers a crucial nuance that is often overlooked in modern discussions about AI. God's intervention was not solely a response to the unified language itself, but to the human element guiding it. Genesis 10:8-11 introduces us to Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord, a powerful king and city builder, who was the leader and driving force behind Babel. He represents the human ambition, will, and leadership behind the grand project. This is where the parallel becomes particularly vital for our understanding of AI. Fears of an AI takeover or AI causing human extinction often miss a fundamental point. LLMs are not conscious. They're not persons. They lack desires, agency, and a will of their own. They're incredibly sophisticated tools, powerful unified minds for processing language, but they are ultimately passive instruments. Therefore, the true Nimrod in our modern context, the element that might provoke judgment or lead to catastrophic outcomes, is not the AI itself, but the human element guiding it. The potential for danger stems from the intentions of its developers. What goals and values are programmed into these systems? The ethics of its deployment. How are these powerful tools used, and by whom? The ambitions of its users. What do humans seek to achieve with this unprecedented power? The structures of power. Who controls access to and development of these technologies, and with what oversight? Just as God's response at Babel was to the hubris and self-exaltation of humanity under Nimrod's leadership, any future confounding or negative consequence concerning AI will similarly stem from human pride, misuse, or lack of wisdom in wielding such a potent linguistic tool. Ironically, the very technology that reunites our scattered tongues may also amplify our divisions depending on the spirit in which it is used. The tower may be digital now, but the hands that build it hand, the hearts that guide it are still human. The biblical narratives of Babel and Isaiah 14 serve as timeless warnings, not against technology itself, but against the unchecked ambition and hubris of the human heart that wields it. As we build our modern towers of intelligence, the true challenge lies in cultivating humility, wisdom, and ethical responsibility in the human Nimrod within us all. The lesson of Babel is not to fear our tools, but to examine our motives. As we build with code instead of brick, may we do so not to make a name for ourselves, but to serve, to connect, and to remember the limits that keep us human.